Hello and welcome to another sit down on 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. You may recognize the man to my right, Herb Anderson. Herb has been on the show before. Herb, Chronicles last year, correct? Season 1 Chronicles, you and the Viking.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks a lot for coming back. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
Herb is a local here in Las Vegas, so we're here and hanging out, and we want to talk to him while we were here. Herb, really quickly, so people get an idea, we didn't cover a lot of it in your background before. The quick 30,000 foot view of Herb's automotive background. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in the automotive industry for about 18 years total. Started out as a lube tech, tire technician, then became a service writer, did managing. Then I left for a little bit, started my own business, and then I had the opportunity to go work for Cox Automotive.
Okay.
And spent a few years there under the Auto Trader, Kelley Blue Book umbrella.
Okay.
And that was really kind of where I learned a lot. Obviously, Cox has a lot of information as far as the automotive industry. It's a great place to kind of become a student of the industry. And most recently, I'm working at GSM as a account executive overseeing stores on the West to kind of help them with their fixed operations, with mainly helping them improve on retention and service market share.
So you're a fixed ops guy, really, at heart. You enjoy it, that's your deal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So working inside the Cox model must have been a little bit different, right? Because it's more of a front-end retail sort of experience for you, selling Auto Trader, right? KBB, et cetera, right? A little bit different. I wanted to talk with you because of your background in third-party lead providers. I think it's a big topic right now. A lot of people are talking about the value of them. It's no joke of where I stand on the topic. These guys are, they're extortionists. They stole our inventory 25 years ago, and they fucking sold it back to us, right? That's always been confusing to me from the get. Like, it's my car. Why have you done this? But it's business, right? We can't reverse what we did 25 years ago. But how do you view? I guess it's a different question. Did you view third-party providers differently before you worked for one and after? Or have you always had the same view, and when you went to work for them, it sort of solidified that view and or changed it? Like, how do you stand?
Yeah, no. So obviously, I was a consumer first, right? And so I definitely used them in the research process of purchasing a vehicle. But then, obviously, some eye-opening, information experiences while being on the other side of things. So, my main takeaway for it all is that I do believe that you should have a presence on third-party sites because customers go there to look at inventory. So you should be there at least to raise your hand.
There's the trusted name, right? That whole idea, because that is what they sell us, right? They're like, well, no one knows Herb Anderson Autos, but everyone knows Auto Trader, so just put your cars on here, and our name will carry it.
Exactly. So you should have, they do have an audience, so you should be there. But from there to paying the amount of money that you pay on these sites, like I know people that pay tens of thousands of dollars for that presence. That's where it got harder and harder to do for me.
There's a line in all, I think, in all advertising, and no matter what sense you use it, there is a line of diminishing return.
Yes.
I think that as soon as you hit that line, if you don't know the line, it's because you're not looking for the line, in my opinion. So were you in a position you were at Cox Automotive a couple of years.
Yeah.
Were you in a position that you had to walk in during these yearly renewal upcharges? Like, was that a part of your job when you were there?
Yeah. So obviously we had to talk about the renewing contracts and that whole.
Yeah, but is there coaching that comes I don't know how I'm envisioning all this craziness, right? Like behind the scenes, right in November. In November they get everyone together. They're like, all right. So we're going to have to sit through 3 hours of training. Like, what do we need training for? Like, well, it's that time of year again, guys. Like, you got to go in the stores and get them to pay more. Like, is it a word track? Is it a discussion amongst your people in the building?
The way that I talk about it now is I say, we used a lot of spooky language, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of
Give me an example. What's spooky language?
So they used to say marketplace.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're a marketplace. But then you look at the definition of a marketplace. What's the definition? If you go on your digital dictionary right now, it tells you that it's a place where customers or where people get together to buy and sell.
Yeah.
But you're not buying and selling anything on those sites.
No, it should be a free enterprise.
Right.
So, it should be a viewing site. Yeah.
So you're just going there to get information.
Is that where Trading Marketplace was born? Is that where that whole thing was born out of this idea? Come to the marketplace, buy and sell your car on Auto Trader. We'll put a kiosk in your building, whatever, stupid shit. Okay, all right. So spooky language, right? Yeah, so, marketplace is spooky.
Yeah, a lot of spooky language, right? Yeah. So because obviously you can't sell, you can't tell you're a lead provider when you're not providing any leads, right?
Right.
And
you're right, because that's what the word track, right? That's built into you guys. We are not a lead.
We're
provider.
not a lead provider.
We charge like one for sure, but we're not one.
Right.
We're a digital billboard.
Exactly.
Lack of a better term.
So you have to have a lot of those types of conversation. And like I said, it got harder and harder to do, right?
Because the product was the same, right, Herb? Like you go in year after year to raise prices, and people would be like, Herb, for what? And you're like, market adjustment or whatever spooky language you had to use, right? Like that's the thing is there's no justification besides their own expense structure and their own, because they want to acquire a new company, they want to hire a billion fucking idiots. That seems like their problem. But I feel like I pay the bill at the dealer sense, or for the gigantic 4-story booths that go on for a half a mile at NADA. Like that feels like it comes out of what the upcharge.
But think about what it is that they're really providing. Obviously, there's an audience, right?
I don't want to do that, right?
And I get
that. If I think about what they're really providing, I'm going to stop.
You're out.
Yeah, I'm out. Everyone, you're out. Like if we're going to really stop and think about it, you're out, right?
But it's the validation, like you mentioned earlier, right? Because unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's just the way
it is. What it is. You can't undo it.
That's where we are in the industry.
Customers
don't trust the dealerships, right? So they go to these places to validate their search, or but that from there to where they are, where these ridiculous charges.
Alpha Zone 5,
your
whatever, Spotlight,
exactly.
Whatever.
That's just like it doesn't make sense, right? You could do so much more money. You could do so much more with that money. That's going to really provide return on your investment.
Yes. Did you have a matrix when you worked there? Was there how the fuck did you keep all those prices? like when it was like, am I on Alpha? Well, I don't know. You're in Alpha Zone 4 / Toyota region. Like I don't know. Like was it cut and dry for you from that end?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's in that sense, it's based on your audience, right? So you have different markets.
So not my inventory size.
No,
this was all based on market. So Denver market, Vegas market, Chicago market, those were all price considerations. And then what? Your radius to those cities?
Yeah, so if you're A market, then obviously there's more people, so
the price is higher, and the
price should be higher.
And then B, C, whatever.
Right, exactly, and it just diminishes from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So your point is that in your time there, what you learned is that there is value on a very basic level to have your name there, right? And so one of my issues that I've always had, and it's an old school thought of Auto Trader. I'm sure they've updated it since. But when they first came to my office, this would have been 2003, 2004. It was, hey Sean, look, man, you want to be at the top, okay? Like that's it. And I said, yeah, but hit sort by price to the right there, guys. And you hit sort by price, all that shit goes away, and now the lowest number of cars by dollar figure is shown.
Right.
Okay, well, why don't I just price aggressively, and if people search the way I'm pretty sure they're going to by price, they're going to find it.
Yeah.
Oh, but Sean, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Like, well, sure, of course it doesn't, but what if it did? How do you view that whole idea of if you pay more, you'll get more in the third-party world? Like, where do you really see, because you're saying be at base level, but are you just advocating for base? Are you saying there's somewhere between there and Alpha, Platinum, Quadruple, 10 G's a month?
No, you know what the differentiator is? It's not the platform, what the platform has to offer. It's your inventory, right? You have high scarcity cars. Yeah, you have high scarcity cars. You merchandise them. You put comments in the right photos and stuff.
But that means you can be on base level, right? To your point, is if you do your job right on the front half, then you don't need Auto Trader to position you in Alpha Zone 6.
If you don't do it right, then you definitely don't want that, because now it's going to expose all your flaws, and the customer's going to have a terrible digital experience.
They're going to pass by your car because it's $2,000 over market value, right? Yeah. So now you're really screwed.
Right. So you have to, if you're gonna participate in these sites, you have to do your job as a dealer, which is merchandising, pricing right, and buying right.
Interesting.
And then just do the basic, because all you're doing there is it's more branding and validation. That's it. Nobody's buying a car because they saw it there, because a customer doesn't go to that site and immediately gets in their car and drives to the dealership and it's like, oh, I'm here to buy a car.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
But when you were there, were they starting off on the attribution study nonsense when you were there? This idea of, well, we don't provide leads, but let us show you something. We certainly provide sold vehicles. Okay, so watch this. Those are always my favorite when all those big firms come to us, and they say, hey, Sean, we'd like to take your group of 10 stores, and we would like to run an analysis from Cars.com and show you attribution. And every time I'm like, well, sure, Is it free? Well, no. Until it's free, let me know. And I always tell the team, they all get excited. Sean, they're going to give us all this insight. Yeah, they're going to come back and tell us that Cars.com sells a bunch of cars. If you think for 1 second they're going to tell us anything about AutoTrader or Gurus or Carfax, you're out of your mind. Like, this is not. It is so positioned that you said it to begin with, right? AutoTrader says they're not a lead provider, but you know what they're trying to do today as we sit in market? Be a fucking lead provider.
Yeah.
With this digital retail bullshit.
Yeah.
20 years later, here you are staring down the same people you've been screwing for years, and now you want to be a lead provider?
But that isn't even.
There's no lead to have.
Yeah.
It's garbage, bro. The
So-
data there is horseshit. Everything this company touches and buys, like you'll talk to people who say, Sean, what's the best paid search company you ever worked with? A company called Haystack Media out of Denver, Colorado. You know what happened to them?
Oh yeah, they got bought out.
Yeah. You know what happened to them again? Those guys left. They built another company, built it, sold it again to the same people who ruined it again. So my thing is, just because they're the biggest doesn't make them the best. Doesn't make anything. But AutoTrader, what they have been able to do recently is they've been able, because we look at all the data across what I refer to now, I think it's safe to say affectionately it's got to be the big four, right? I mean, Carfax is a serious player now in the world. Whether people want to say it out loud or shake hands or talk about it, we see the data. And if you look at a cost per VDP or a cost per lead basis, you can't touch Carfax. You can't.
Right.
Like, the numbers are ridiculous. But what is, Herb, if I was going to say to you, you're the GM, Herb, you got, of the big four, are you participating in all four? How do you balance that against your store?
You know, look at it this way. If your average spend per each one, let's say it's $3,500 or $4,000 times 4, right?
16 Gs.
16 Gs.
We're in.
Why not just be basic on all and have your eyeballs on all? Because you're gonna have some audiences that are not gonna overlap, right? Some person's just gonna go to Carfax, or just gonna go to Cars, or just go to Gurus.
Doesn't that seem a little bit unreasonable anymore? That people are gonna visit 18 sites, but they're not gonna go over those 4 sites?
It does, but look at the numbers, right?
Sure. Sure.
So instead of going hard on 1 or 2, cut that budget down.
Go across all 4.
Yeah, and then make sure that you're doing the stuff right. Buy the right car.
Merchandise.
And if you're not doing that, then don't be on there at all.
Right.
You're just creating a bad digital experience. Before the customer even
get people to your website, I guess,
Yeah.
so they can see your price without little comparison.
Yeah,
I guess.
But I wouldn't click on a car that doesn't have photos or that doesn't have price or no descriptions, right?
What are we doing here? It's still a thing, right? I can't believe it's still a thing.
I know, it's crazy.
Call for price, like what is this now? I don't call for anything. I don't call for price. I was doing some home remodeling with my wife, and one of the cabinets said call for price. She's like, I love it. She's like, call them. I'm like, fuck that. I don't do it. No way. I would not. They should list it here, because I'm going to call, then they're going to upsell me and show me the one online is this, the price is that.
Right.
So when you were there at AutoTrader and you were working with that, did you have to hear a lot about, well, I'm on Cars.com, or at that time, depending on when you did it, Car Gurus were starting to really bubble up, right? That's when they were gypsies. You couldn't get Car Gurus on the phone. You had no idea how they got your inventory. You just kind of like, I don't know. These dudes are sending me free leads. They're not even asking for money. Like, this is weird. I don't understand these people. It's fine. It's fine. Like, sell my car. But when you were there, like, was there a discussion internally about, hey, if a dealer's on Cars.com, then he should be on AutoTrader or take that market share dollar? Or is there anything like that about the competition between all those guys?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, you want your share of that business. So you're always going in the stores that you don't have I want to say a relationship, but that you don't have any business with, and you're trying to get that and presenting your arguments for or against. So there's some word tracks and conversations there. Like for us, it was it works better if you're on both. You know what I mean?
Because I'm already a Cars.com dealer, and you're not here to burn down my house of Cars.com.
Right.
You're simply to say, that's back when you guys were really pushing hard that no one crossed there.
Or in some situations, like I used to partner up with some of the Cars.com reps, and we would go and talk to the dealers together.
What?
Yeah. So
get the fuck out of here. Did your bosses know that?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, it's cool.
Yeah,
because it's third-party marketplace. So if we have a dealer who agrees to the Cars.com marketplace, then they'll certainly agree to ours.
Right. So it's just,
So you guys tag team dealers.
We did.
That work?
It did, because look,
of course it worked.
That's what I meant. Like, you don't want to, you want to spread it out.
Herb, I just can't.
You know,
I can't
so-
envision you as an Auto Trader rep, bro. Like banging on my door. Like I don't know. You come off way classier. I don't know what it is about you. I don't know. Maybe you've classed up since then, or I didn't know you then. But it's interesting because here you are, right, in a position. Were you always in Vegas market? Did I ask you this?
Yeah.
always. So what was your time frame? Just because I'm trying to make sure I don't ask questions that are outside of it.
2014, left in 2017.
Okay, so you have 3 years on the end. So you're post-recession. You're all these things.
Right.
You're in this place. So Car Gurus is a thing. Cars.com is a thing. How did you handle the next fucking product to sell? Like because it felt like at a time you guys were coming in like, we got Auto Trader, we got
Right.
KBB, we got Marketplace. I mean, you guys are like the guy in New York owns his jacket's got the gold. You know what I'm saying?
I got them all, man.
Yeah, like so. How was it for you to kind of balance value?
So it was hard, man. That's one of the reasons why I ultimately left, because it just, we are having these conversations with dealers about, things like merchandising, and, we're pushing the blame onto, it's not us.
Sure.
It's you. You guys don't know how to use our product. I just couldn't have that conversation.
Because
And
you
if
knew
we-
the dealer was doing their job? Is that why you're saying this, Herb?
Well-
It was basically like, if the numbers are bad, blame the dealer?
Not only that, I don't like that premise where we're passing blame. I don't think that anybody that's representing any product should ever walk into a dealership, sell them something, and then wash their hands of that. If you sold them something, it's your responsibility to make that work. I don't care how you do it.
This is novel, isn't it?
This
is novel,
But,
friends.
yeah,
This is
I
what
mean,
Herb does.
That's just the way that
Puts
it
the
is.
simple truth out there.
And so you're having these conversations where you're blaming the dealer, but then you don't have any way to help the dealer because you're a third party side. I mean, what are you going to help them with their internal processes? I
No,
mean, you know what I mean?
No, are you going to help them spotlight? I've heard a couple of reps
You
do
know.
that for dealers that are lazy, who pay for things like
Yeah, but-
spotlights and don't do it.
If you do that, let's say that's the solution, right? Okay, I'm going to give you some free product, right, Mr. Dealer, because I got your back.
Correct.
But your processes aren't good, and you're not merchandising correctly. And so all I'm doing is really exposing your bad
Your
practices.
inefficiencies. Were
Yeah.
you able to speak on these things when you were there to your dealer about that and say, dude, I mean, I don't know if this product's really doing what it should for you because you're not doing what you should be doing.
I did that multiple times where they're pushing you to get business, and I'm more like,
Guys, the business we got's already bad.
this is not a good customer. This is not a good partnership.
Because you have,
Yeah.
I heard there's pretty high standards within that Cox Automotive as far as goals and what you're expected of and all those things. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, listen. Ultimately, you're selling, right? So you have a quota, and you got to meet your numbers, and you got to find the business.
Is that a
right?
six-figure
So,
job?
It can be, yeah, for sure. It can be.
Really?
So
That's crazy.
yeah. I mean,
It's crazy.
but I remember having a conversation with a GM recently, and he said something, dude, that it blew my mind. He was like, I'm talking with my reps, and they keep telling me that why do I need to invest, all this money into SEM and SEO if I have my inventory on their third party site?
Because they already pay for all that.
And they're gonna find me there anyway. So why do I need to? And I'm like, dude, seriously? You know that you're there with like a gazillion other dealers, right?
Yeah.
And even if you pay for tier placement, and even if you price and merchandise right, your cars are not going to show up all the time.
And you know what else I would say to that? I would say to that over the last 3 to 5 years, all those companies are making a much bigger deal out of the amount of traffic they send from their site to yours. They all are. They're all like, oh, wait, it's not just a lead, Sean.
Yeah.
Go log in to Google Analytics. Like, what do they know about Google Analytics? Cox Automotive hates Google Analytics. They're on record as saying so. For me, you're not a lead provider. You're not driving traffic to my website. What are you? And so, what did you say to this dealer? Did you have like an honest come to Jesus moment? Like, what are you talking about?
yeah, well, this was
bro?
after I left.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. You said it was recently. So how did you handle it not being in the position?
No, what I told them was, what I was telling dealers back then, like you have to have that SEM placement. You have to. That's your inventory, man. You got to invest in your inventory. Do it the right way, but you can't leave that up to a third party site to do what that's going to.
Yeah, because then you just get rid of your website altogether. You have no presence, and you just
Right.
you're Texas Direct, you're Carvana. You don't have a building, you don't have a website. Who cares? Just here you go, right? And I mean, Carvana obviously just has a website, no building, but still on that premise. So you were there for 3 years. You said, right, basically, give or take.
Yeah.
What was your area size? You said it was 4 states total.
No,
You said
I
West,
just
so.
had Vegas.
So you just had Vegas.
Yeah.
How many clients on a roster for you?
So that varied. So at one point I had the entire market because it was transitions.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, 80 plus dealers at some point.
How do you manage that as one human?
How's
that work?
It's really difficult. Yeah. I was spending a lot of time. The way that I consult, I'm very involved.
Sure.
So
I get that from you.
Yeah, I was spending a lot of time, just kind of plugged in, and it's just I don't know. Those were
80
some
stores. I
rough
mean, you're talking about best chance getting everybody every third month. Best chance.
Yeah. Well, no, I did manage to see everybody within a 45, 50,
Really?
50 day
Nice
term.
work, man.
Yeah. So
That's some serious. That's
But then-
that's four shots a day.
But the quality, the value, right?
Sure, and you knew that.
Right. So you're
And
not
you do.
spending all that time with those stores that need it the most.
So you may or may not know this from your position, but here you are with 80 stores. Behind you, behind the scenes, are the internal reps, right? The people who handle support,
Right,
tickets,
yeah.
and all that.
Mhm.
Any idea if you're at 80, what a caseload of someone inside the store, inside the Cox Automotive is that?
I
Any
don't
idea?
know, but it's probably pretty significant.
Because
I
we
would
were
say.
recently told by a rep at a store, excuse me, at a I think they're Car Gurus, right? Car Gurus came to us and we were arguing about rates. They wanted. I called them extortionists. I called them terrorists. They got all pissy and upset. Well, this isn't right. You shouldn't treat us that way. Blah blah blah. And I said, yeah, but guys, here's the thing. Like you're taking all this. You missed my client's emails where he told you what his missing inventory. No one cares. The guy replies with something to the effect of, hey, I have 150 or 200 stores to worry about. I can't get every email. And our reply was, sounds like a whole big bag of your fucking problem, not ours.
Yeah.
And that's disgusting, by the way, that you're trying to manage 150, 200. You're 25 years old. You know nothing about the car business, very little about customer service, and here you are responsible for 200 clients. And doing a Car Gurus, their pricing, Auto Trader's always been classy about the price increase because someone shows up at my door with a manager. That's always how it went.
Yeah.
It's always like, hey, Sean, I brought my boss. You're like,
Oh,
fuck, back
here we
at the
go.
Brinks truck, dude. Someone wants some money, right? But now it's these guys at Car Gurus, they send out this lame-ass email. They're like, just so you know, we need to talk. Your rates are going up. It's like, what? This is so impersonal. So did you think did you think there was value in when you anytime you up rates? Were you ever like, this makes sense for this guy?
We did have a product, Traded Marketplace, which I liked in the sense that it provided dealers what they wanted. Now, I won't say that the quality was the best,
Thank you.
but it provided dealers with leads, people that they could get busy with and call and contact.
That they want. You see, I like the way you said that, Herb, because
so-
that is what dealers still want, isn't it? They still want leads. They don't understand that it's
Yeah.
no longer a lead game. It's a quality issue. You
Right.
want the highest quality leads, which those, not so
Well,
much.
and we talked about this when you did the Dealer Talk podcast, and you said something that kind of stuck with me. You said that it's the dealers don't have a lead problem. It's what they're
Selling
doing.
problem, bro.
Yeah, it's
Selling.
what they're doing with what they have, and I totally agree with that.
It's the hardest thing, Herb, for people to hear me say out loud. But as soon as I say it, they literally go back and look at things and say, you know what? Turns out.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
probably do. We've got clients that we've had that it took 6, 7, 8, 9 months working with us to finally see, because what we do is we make the marketing side a no-brainer. We handle all the headaches, all the nonsense. We don't do the marketing, but we handle it all. We deal with all the vendors. What it opens up for a dealer to do is go sell cars and do what they do.
Best,
And
yeah.
sooner or later, they find out that all the time they freed up from dealing with vendors and marketing and price increases, they were able to put back into their floors and their people. So that's the impressive part of what I think exists value-wise from the third parties. So we're coming up a little bit near the end. I want to know something from you. What is the coolest thing you had experienced while you worked there, and what's the worst thing you experienced while you worked there?
the coolest thing I would say is, like I mentioned earlier, the access to information. Like I would get dealers that would call and be like, hey, what do you think about this car? I'm at the auction, and I could call somebody from Viato, right? And be like, hey, man, I need you to do me a favor, and I could get that to my...
Probably the one product they didn't ruin.
Yeah,
When
I
they
can-
bought it.
I can give that to I can give that to the customer then and there. I like adding value, right?
Yeah. You love that.
Yeah, those are opportunities where we could do that.
That's cool.
What I hated the most was the conversations, man. The trying to go in there and justify when you know that yes, you should be on here, but you shouldn't be paying $6,000 or $10,000 or that's just
That's where it hurts, right? That's
It's
where
like-
because you're somebody who thinks about that part of the job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're somebody who is like, well, look, man, I mean, it is what it is. We know what the product's worth. And when the product doesn't change, but the price changes, that's what makes it more difficult.
Well, and look what it's doing, man. I mean, look, I mean, you can't quantify, you can't touch it. It's
How many
not,
dealers
you
you think even know their SRP to VDP conversion?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
And that's the simplest metric you can find in there outside of the phone call, email
But
total.
is that really worth it, though?
Well,
You know,
well,
like
what is what really worth it? Knowing that number?
No, the VDPs and the SRPs, that's another number that for me it's like, I mean, is it good that you're getting a bunch of VDPs? Yeah, I guess, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do with that?
Information?
Yeah.
It's not. Look, dude. Yes. To your point, yes. It is a secondary metric that was created by marketers. Okay, that's what it is.
Spooky language.
It's spooky language, dude. but if you look at it, that's all Google Analytics is one big scrolling mess of spooky language. Because what it's meant to do is it's meant to show data as a guide. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is everyone wants an absolute when dealing with third-party providers or lead providers or marketing. This sold me the car. No, it didn't. Stop
Yeah.
with all that. There was 14 things that influenced that person. More importantly, they were already in your database from 2 years ago. How do you know your owner marketing didn't sell that car?
Right.
Doesn't matter. But the auto traders of the world, there is value, but you and I agree wholeheartedly that is at the most basic of levels.
Yeah, it's your inventory that should do the
Always.
work.
Because the reason I use SRP to VDP conversion as a benchmark for me with my clients, and I just had this discussion on the way out here with a client, was that a client gets hit for a alpha upsell out in Colorado. And the price was completely reasonable. I actually emailed him back, like, hey, did you miss a number? Like, what is, this is not an alpha package that I'm aware of. And he's like, no, that's the real price. I said, then, just off and away, go do it. It sounds like fun. He said, but how are we going to track it? Well, for the last year, we've been not on it. We know how many SRPs and VDPs we get on average.
Let's
If
see
that
what it
number
does.
moves, we're
Yeah.
good. If the leads move, we're good. If it doesn't, it didn't work, and we bone out. And that's why we believe internally at CarBiz that dealers only get access to 12 months of data in the back end. Because if you looked at what that product did for you 24, 36, and in our case, 60 months ago, there's no way they could ever increase your price. Because we've watched it from 2014 go down.
Down.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Pay more and get less.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that the in the beginning there was justification in the amount of stuff that the engagement that you were getting, right? Like
Sure.
you'd get a lot of phone calls, you'd get a lot of emails, and that's gone less and less and less and less, right?
Yeah, that's just
So-
consumer behavior.
Right. So that's the thing. Like the consumer behavior has changed, right? And
Who wants to admit that?
Right, but we're still expecting them to
Submit leads.
Yeah.
And then when they submit leads, just get hammered on the phone and just totally waste their time. Again, you and I talked about before we came on air, talking about the word transparency and this whole idea of where it fits and where it doesn't. That's part of the issue I think that a lot of dealers struggle with, is that word transparency as it relates to third-party providers, because I think there is no justification to the increase. And it's funny, they can't hear market pricing when you say it to them from AutoTrader, but they'll say it to a customer in 30 seconds,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like, sorry folks, market pricing. AutoTrader, up yours in the market pricing. Like, okay guys, whatever. Herb, you've been doing this a long time. You've been on the show now twice. Second time guest we've ever had. It's
Thanks,
because
man.
you're wonderful and you have
That's
great
awesome.
energy, dude. You're great.
What an honor, man.
Leave the people with something. What do you want them to know about third-party providers right now, and how they should sort of look at that whole landscape?
Well, look at it as a way to have your inventory, raise your hand because there is an audience there. Most importantly, excuse me, it's the validation that it provides, right? To me, that's the biggest value that any lead provider or any third-party site is going to offer you. And then, on your side of things, make sure that you're presenting the best, the best experience for that potential buyer, because, we talk about the word experience in the automotive industry a lot. And we forget that there's a digital experience too, right? And so we want to make sure that translates to the, to when they're in your store. And if you don't have those processes in place, then you're better off waiting until you get a handle on that before you expose that.
Dude, that's it. You got it. You hit it head on. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, right? The idea of validation, here's what I would tell people. Validation is not as expensive as what you're paying. You can get validation for a lot less. That is Herb's point.
Yeah.
It is a base level situation. If you're a Carfax dealer and don't know about Carfax listing, ask your rep. Okay? They just came with a price increase. They're still not over $1,000. Okay? To be on their program. So depending on market, but still. So Herb, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I love your background in this whole thing. I love that you were willing to come on here and talk about. I mean, a little bit of some ugly history, you know, and that's the way this industry is, and you're an open book, and I've always liked that about you, man. So
thanks,
I really appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot so much. Guys, as always, you can find me and Herb all over LinkedIn. Herb loves his Facebook videos as well. I've caught a few of those. 262-278-0157 is the text line for myself or Herb. And anywhere they have podcast in the audio sense, you will find this wonderful show. And if you don't, let us know and we'll get it there. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day.